Hello, everyone. I am Magdala Ramirez, and we come from the Maya Mexica tradition. And I'm very, very, very happy to be with you today in this beautiful snowy day. And oh my gosh, I so enjoy the snow. It is so gentle, peaceful, and there is beauty everywhere around me. Well, when I go and think about where are you, what's going on, I need to tell you so many things for you to remember. There has been quite a journey for all humanity. The journey of going back in what the Christ called it, the kingdom of heaven, or our ways, our tribe called it the world of the enchanted flower, or the Shambala, or the vahala. It has many names in every culture, many names to a realm that it was the original of all human beings, a realm that from there it is much more to uncover, but all is based of the true human being, the oneness of this beautiful realm. It really creates a beautiful way of living too, because it is based on the highest good of everyone. So what happened? What is it? When I think about it, I think about the book that we have, the story of Quetzalcoatl. He needed to go back into the fifth after the fall. And the fall was the very, very first time that the Mexica people felt shame and guilt. Quetzalcoatl fall, and he needed to go back into his original realm. And he promised to come back. And he is back. He's back in you. He's back in me. But what happened everywhere in the world? What is the story? I have been in quite a journey about Europe. I'm planning to go to Europe sometimes this year. And the journey of Magdala, the journey that what happened to her and what is it, how she took the people back into the fifth, in that kingdom of heaven that the Christ was talking about. What is it and what's going on? Well, the journey took me she arrived into the south of France, in this town that nowadays it is called Saint-Marie de la Mer. And actually, most likely, I'm not pronouncing it well, but I was observing how she arrived to a place where everybody speak a different language. It was a lot of the Celtics and the Druid people, and also the invasion of the Romans, because it still was everywhere in Europe, just like it was in that time with the Jewish. Well, understanding one single knowledge, it's a very, very important thing because this knowledge has been everywhere in the world. It goes beyond cultures and beyond separations. And this journey, it is inside of you, a journey that you must realize what is it and what's going on. Well, the journey took her into many places in Europe where she was teaching. And it was already in many places, all these sacred places like Stonehenge, but there is much more of those standing stone everywhere in Europe. I find out that it wasn't the locals, the ones that made those places, it was actually the Turkish people. And where it is those places is the lane lines and all these parts in Europe that are very much connected into the portals. In there, they create temples, ancient temples. Ancient temples, in many of these temples, was about the feminine. And we have those temples everywhere in the world. We have it in Mexico, in South America, in the north of the Americas. We have all these temples that the women were very much prepared about giving light and observing that light. It is very, very powerful. In those schools, we can say schools, it was completely connected into the very, very soul of the human being. In Europe, it was no difference. It was all these temples. And this route that she took around in these places that she was, it was that place of the Avalon. And this is fascinating for me. I really want to go there because everywhere that she was, Magdala, that is talking about 2000 years ago, they very much created these big towers. Magdala means tower of strength. And when I see and connect with these beautiful realms about it, also I can see the pushing back of these teachings and who was pushing back and how it is still going on in there. I was thinking about what happened. Avalon, Glassbury, it was a realm of the feminine. And from there, everything was dedicated about the Mother Goddess. And the Mother Goddess have altars everywhere in Europe. And it was until 1,000 years later when all this devastation came into being because they imposed the patriarchal system in Europe. They destroy the temples and they destroy also the schools of enlightenment. In that way, Avalon, that it used to be an island, well, the waters disappear about it, and the whole realm is there for everyone to reach. And yet, it is not as it was before. I was thinking about how important it is, these teachings. Women in that time, they didn't know anymore how to relate with their own divinity. They couldn't see themselves divine because that imposition of the patriarchal system was about God is male only, and your place it is to be submiss. Don't say anything. You're there to serve the men. You cannot teach. You cannot do your ways of the feminine. You cannot do any of that. You cannot have, the very much the rituals for the mother. It was a big devastation. That's what happened in Europe. And I was observing the same thing happens in many other places. The story always goes about who take these people into the very, very core of the temples. Everything is started by a dark feminine that she was rejected in these temples. And when she was rejected, she came back with the men willing to destroy and kill all the priestesses. The devastation was enormous, not just in that place, but it was in the heart, in the soul of the people. That's when people begins to go down, and now it is the time to go up and remember who you are. Everything in every culture, everything depends on the feminine, on the women. Really, when mama is not happy, nobody is happy. The women holds that light. The women are the ones who the whole family depends on. If she is wounded, the whole family will be wounded. And that goes on for many, many communities. You want to see how the land is, look at the women, how they truly feel. In that time, too, they create this big separation of the women, divide and conquer. Sisterhood ceased to exist. Women went one against the other one by competition. Everything was about that surviving. And again, until now, now that we are willing to remember. We have the same situation in the land, in our land, the sacred land. The whole land is consecrated with the mother. We create temples where we can teach those ancient ways of the mother. And at the moment that that temple was created, we were under attack. And the test was on me. I understand it now. And I understand that in that time too. This happened, I don't know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And it was this big devastation. It was guns and such. And the test was on me because the story was being repeated at the moment that you want to bring those teachings. And you are real. You are very genuine. And I needed to rewrite that story and not get killed and hold the ground so strongly and understand that in this time and space is when we need to bring those teachings. These teachings talks about that one single knowledge everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter what is your religion or tradition, they're all bounded into one. Every old tradition, if you see it closely, everything has to do about that balance. Has to do about that understanding of your male and female. And when you bring what it was hidden about the feminine, you have a reaction. People don't like it. People don't like it because there is a lot of pain in between. It's a lot of situations that people have genetically, that it was passed on generation to generation about the pain and suffering. But if you see right now, where is the women? And what's going on? What happened to the men too? You see, in that time, the ways of the mother includes the masculine. It was, in many ways, that divine father too. It was that divine order in absolutely everything. Everything bonded because of love. Everything entering into this perfect balance because of the love that you are. It wasn't in that time any separation. It was many tribes everywhere in Europe too, but everyone was bonded into it. You see, the Celtic tradition and the Druid tradition is very much indigenous too. It's so beautiful to even comprehend that beautiful world of one single knowledge. And Magdala tapped into it. And bringing that union of polarities, it might be a challenge. You needed to learn another language and learn that people have a different ways. It happens to me too. I needed to learn another language. And it still doesn't matter what it is. My way of saying the things is very much our original ways. And you can read into my books, my way of saying the things is quite different. When I think about the returning back into Quetzalcoatl, going into the fifth, I mean, that book, it is available for you in our website if you want to read it. What is the passages that you need to go through in order to understand and embrace a higher consciousness? And everything is absolutely bonded with the ways of the feminine. Now, 2000 years ago, it could be even more. They have these writings, the Eastern people, the Gnostic people. In some of these writings, I always read them because, oh my gosh, it makes me so incredible happy to understand and always find a new thing. But in one of the writings, the mother is talking about, I need to talk to the women and I will bring them back into their original vibration, back into that world of the enchanted flower. And she promised to talk to the women everywhere in the world. She is a voice inside of you. She knew, the mother knows, of course, that talking to the women, it will make them remember the sisterhood, and remember the true mother goddess, and make peace finally. Nowadays, women felt separated with their biological mothers. That was the imposition of the patriarchal system. It was all this distance because of it. What was important was the father. And it still is in this patriarchal system very, very strongly. The mother has no say. And the mother-daughter, it creates this big distance. So when we talk about the mother goddess, what it is in the middle, you will find that part of the hologram you need to clean whatever happens with your biological mother. She was hurt too. I mean, it was many things that it wasn't known until now, the ways of the feminine. Women didn't know. For many generations, they forgot. They thought that everything, it needed to be about the masculine. They become very chauvinist, the women. Everything, thinking that it has to do in that outside world. And that inside world is something that you wouldn't trust. This time and space, we are working in that inner world. Yeah, it is an underworld. Even the patriarchal system put it like, don't go there. It's a dangerous place, the underworld. It is a cave. It is wet, humid, dark, just like your womb, isn't it? Don't go there, they say, the patriarchal system. And yet you need to go there and clean every belief system that it has been holding you down. We call it the 9 underworlds. And people in the school are working on it, in each one of them. What it represents to you, what happened to the human being. And once you resolve all these situations, you're going up. It's vertical, the way of the mother, to understand that it has never been horizontal. Time is never has been linear. In understanding these ways, I know that it is something that I cannot really talk about it in just few times in this radio talk, but working on it and understanding this is remembering who you are and what happened. Doesn't matter what is your tradition. You pass through all these many years. For us, maybe it is 500 years. For people in Europe, it's 2000. But there is much more before the 2000 years. The understanding of where it is this world and how to put it up and how to understand it when you are going up the whole perception of reality change? How does it feel? You understand the teachings much more quicker. You catch it in the air. You can see, and I have seen it so many times in ceremony, women looking into each other's eyes and they know exactly where their sister is. What is the next movement when they are working with the fire, when they're working with the waters, when they're working with themselves? They know exactly that you want your sister to get it as you are. Because in that way, it's going up. I have seen it so many times when we work in those teachings in the land, how everything changes and nobody can touch you. It is a place where it is only the beginning. Once you drop everything that it is holding you down and understand it and embrace it and don't judge it, naturally you're going up because that is your original vibration. The fall happened with all this lost of the ways of the mother, but it was never lost because now she is talking to you. Because now we remember. Because your work is to distinguish the voices inside of you. A world that it is can so abstract. And yet when you're holding hands with her, you don't get lost. And that's the real help for the men too, because you're enlightening your masculine way. Men didn't trust women for a long time. That's the rock men story. Now they want to understand and love. Women were faking it for such a long time with the men because of surviving. Now they can be honest so the men can understand themselves. Remember that the man needs to see a sacred woman in front of him in order to relate inside. And for the women is the other way around. From that inside, how do you bring it into the outside? Well, think about it. We do have the school online, and yesterday the teachings were so beautiful. A journey to remember who you are. You can go to magdalas.com. That is MAGDALAS.com. And just click on the school, click on the books. Priestess is coming in May. Send me an email if you want to come. Ah, so beautiful time. Well, thank you for your work. Tlatzokomate, Tlatzokomate, Tlatzokomate. I am you. I am Magdala. Oh, yeah. Download Messages from the Great Mother. It's an app in your phone. The mother wants you to know that she's always there with you. It's very impressive. The perfect synchronicity of what you are living. And then here is this little message. So unique, only for you. Okay, thank you.